You know, the way I learned to play a lot of these games, you know, like poker and Magic when I was younger, is you know, I would just sit in my room and just put in countless hours a day, and I would just have music going all the time.
He also listens to the same song over and over again, despite whether or not he's preparing for something.
Miley Cyrus.
But speaking of preparing for games, these guys are ready for game number 1, and they're getting underway, and both of them need wins tonight. Neither of them can afford to make any losses if they want to keep their playoff race alive.
Like, I think my most common used song was probably Party in the USA.
You're digging yourself a deep hole here. Like, I'm not going to say I don't like the song.
Am I really digging a hole here, though? That looks great.
Well, it depends on your target audience, I suppose.
I mean, Powder loves it.
I want to be friends with Powder.
I mean, look at the guy.
I am friends with Powder.
He looks really cool.
I love Powder. Just a great guy. He looks serious in this match, by the way. You know, a lot of his games, he's looked like he's been tired out. But now that it means so much, I think he's fully prepared.
Also, I like seeing him play something like Rogue. Don't love the matchup he's getting here, but like seeing him something that he's comfortable with and plays really well with.
This is actually a little bit of a change of pace for Muzzy, too. We don't always see him play Hunter, but when he's played it, gosh, has he played it well.
Yeah, he's played it really well. When we see him be aggressive, he tends more towards like Zoo, Warlock, and stuff like that. But you know, again, there's something to be said about trying not to be targeted, you know, changing your stuff up, especially moving into the playoffs in those last couple matches, showing a different range from you because you know your opponents are going to go do their homework.
Yeah. Now, I know that Purple hates Haunted Creeper, and I'm curious how much Powder hates Haunted Creeper right here. In fact, I think he hates it so much that you're going to see preparation.
Yeah. Now, does Purple hate it so much that he won't play it?
I've seen him like sap it on turn 2.
Well, that's something, you know, to be said about the way Purple just plays Rogue in general. He says you have to use your stuff aggressively in the early game.
What a draw from Powder on the next one. Muzzy's got Eagle Hornbow to handle this, but look at this. I think Powder's going to move all in on this Edwin Van Cleef.
Yeah, you're gonna see Deadly Poison into Prep, into Eviscerate, into Edwin.
Well, might not now.
Yeah, with the SIG, because the thing is, if there's a freezing trap, it's disastrous, but if there's no freezing trap,
I think you move in.
yeah.
Oh, come on, Powder.
He's going to hedge a little bit
That's
here.
a weak play. It's fine. It's the right one. I guess the right play is going to have to be good enough. 4-4 Edwin Van Cleef, still very problematic for this deck. Lots of ways to deal 3 damage, not a ton of ways to deal 4.
And we see a Sludge Belcher coming into Muzzy's hand, kind of like the Zalay build that he was playing with earlier. This one, you know, he's geared to play a little bit longer of games. You know, this is something, you know, to be said about how aggressive Powder has been in HPL here. He wants to have this card in his deck to where if he gets an aggro and aggro matchup, he's just got this trump card that wins him the game.
Yeah, it's more of a scaling game for Muzzy, and this is just how he's played all season. We don't see Leper Gnome in here. We don't see Arcane Golem. We don't see Wolf Rider. This isn't a surprise from this guy. He likes to play a much more patient game and find ways to challenge his opponent's board positions and then capitalize on having the right tools afterwards. That's why you're seeing this Sludge Belcher in here.
Yeah, these Hearthlytic guys, they love their mid-range decks.
No question about it, and why wouldn't they? They've been having success all season.
Yeah, it's something to be said about playing a deck where, depending on what's going on in your matchup or what matchup you get, you can switch from the control to the aggressive role very easily.
Yeah, you're not quite as good one way or the other, but you don't have to be completely dominant. You just have to be good enough.
Yeah, it just gives you a lot of 50-50 matchups, and it's just play dependent. And Muzzy, as we all know, is one hell of a Hearthstone player.
Yep. So this is one hell of a turn, though. This could easily be a trade with the Lotheb. You could easily set the Sludge Belcher and trade with the Edwin Van Cleef. There's a lot of different things going on here. Which one of these minions does he value more staying alive?
It just depends on how Muzzy wants to play this game out over the next 3 or 4 turns. You know, you have to believe he's going to Savannah High main next turn, so he's going to Sludge Belcher this turn. I like running over the 4-4.
You've seen a Fan of Knives.
Yeah,
You've seen an SI7 agent. Those cards aren't necessarily too terribly likely to get played in this spot.
Plus, I mean, for Powder to do something like an SI7 agent, he has to play something else this turn.
Yeah.
And, you know, that means he has 3 mana. So what is he really going to do without a prep? You know, he can't play any of his 4 or 5 drops. He can't play an Azure Drake. He can't play a Pilot of Shredder. So you're kind of taking Powder into a weird spot here.
Yeah. This Eviscerate at the end of the day is just, I think, is going to have to overkill this Lotheb, which isn't a big deal. I mean, you still have a fantastic turn in front of you. You take care of the Lotheb.
Well, I mean, what about Azure Drake, Prep, Eviscerate on the Sludge Belcher?
I don't mind this either. You know, the problem that I'm having with this is that you're using your preparation. This is your second one at this point.
Right.
So now if you draw Sprint, you're just falling behind with that Sprint. Well, but that's okay, because if he gets enough mileage out of this, he's not going to be worried about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you are going into your 7 mana turn, so if you have to kind of take a turn off, it's not the end of the world since you're gaining some pretty big board tempo here.
Did you see Muzzy just rolled his eyes
Yeah.
at the preparation to Eviscerate here? Like, all right. I mean, it's pretty rare that we see Muzzy show any emotion. But with so much on the line here and Powder having such a fantastic opening hand, You know, suddenly he was looking at a dominant board state.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's looking like if this Savannah Jaime gets sapped, he's losing the game.
Yeah, like Muzzy was so far ahead in this early game. Powder's hand has just allowed him to get into this so much. And look at the stone face from Powder there. I love how focused he is.
And look at Muzzy just struggling with his turn. There's just not a lot of good options.
They know the gravity of the situation.
Yep.
They know what this match means. You know, Muzzy is in the playoffs right now. Look at Powder. He's in 9th place right now. He is 1 spot out. This win puts him into the playoff picture. So these two guys, they're fighting for their seasons here. Both these guys want to come to Texas.
Muzzy concludes that Savannah Jaime is the investment he needs to make. And Powder has got plenty of ways to fight against this right now. I mean, I could easily see him just pushing for damage at this point.
Like, there's a very good chance he just ignores it. I mean, he might even just use the South Sea deckhand to get in an extra 4 here, since he gets, you know, the trigger off of SI7 agent as well. You know, got to sequence correctly here, though. You need to play it before you attack with your dagger.
The other problem with this, though, is that if he puts too much stuff on the board, he's
Unleash the hounds. Yeah.
Especially with a knife juggler, that could just completely lose you the game. So, you know, on one hand, he wants to be very aggressive, but on the other, he wants to kind of wait and buy his time. You know, I don't see him using the South Sea deckhand here. Hasn't used a Tinker Sharp Sword Oil. Wouldn't be surprised if he trades in this Lotheb in this spot. All of these play lines, I think, are very viable. It's just which one gives him the best chance to win. I think with Muzzy having 5 cards in his hand, you still probably have some fighting left to do.
Yeah, he's going to be able to take care of the entire board here. This SI7 agent plus his weapon are going to take care of what's left over from the Savannah Jaime, and he's going to get to push for 4 damage with his Azure Drake. Great turn from Powder.
Problem here is that he's got 1 card left and Muzzy's at 19.
Yeah, but he does have an Azure Drake and a Blood Mage Thanos just chilling on the board. So if Muzzy doesn't have a way to check these minions this turn, this game is going to be very winnable for Powder.
Now, Muzzy did just get the good news that Powder didn't have sap, though. So, you know, this looks to me like a pretty clear-cut turn for Savannah Jaime.
You know, can Muzzy afford to let this board get away with this, though? Because he has to take out the SI7 agent. He'll be taking 3 damage, and it'll be leaving Blood Mage and Azure Drake on the board. I have to feel he feels he needs to take care of some of this board.
Yeah, but with a Mad Scientist draw, not a big surprise to see. We'll be able to buy some of this tempo back. We'll be able to take care of the board position. It ends up a little bit ahead. So he doesn't need to invest a lot of his life into getting Savannah Jaime active.
Yeah, I like this play a lot more from Muzzy. He puts him pretty far ahead here. Now, does he want to trade with this Blood Mage Thanos? Here's the thing. There's only 1 card left in Powder's hand. You've already seen Eviscerate. You've already seen Phantom Knives. It's so hard to leave it because it gives him an extra draw. So, like, it's so hard.
You just can't leave Blood Mage around.
Yeah, you just can't leave it around.
It's too dangerous. You know, if he draws Phantom Knives here, suddenly you're looking at a spot where he has to pop your trap. You cleared out your whole board. It's like the last thing you want to happen.
Yeah, great draw from Powder there. And here's where we're going to see where those preps are going to, you know, kind of come back to haunt him a little bit. This sprint, he's going to have to pay 7 mana for it every time.
Yeah, not too big of a deal, though.
Yeah, he does have the South Sea deckhand to kind of check a trap going forward as well, and that's why he's going to hang on to that into his hand here. But, you know, what does Muzzy do from here? You know, he's got a couple options. If he gets a trap, then you might see him set up an Eagle Horn bow this turn, but is that the best line? Is it better than just getting a Savannah Jaime in, you know, punching for 2 damage and, you know, using your hero power? But, you know, Powder has 3 cards left in an Azure Drake now. You know, things get scary when you start leaving Azure Drakes on the board against Rogue.
Or just any minion for that matter. I think this is really a spot where Muzzy's got to start pushing for the game, because if he gives Powder too much time, it's going to slip away.
I agree. Even going to add Leopardome over, you know, using a hero power here. But does he want to run this into the Azure Drake?
I don't know if I would. It's tough both ways. Oh, goodness.
That is a pretty huge draw for Powder here this turn. He's going to be able to eviscerate the Savannah Jaime if he wants to, and then clean up everything with Phantom Knives.
Yeah, I think Powder actually, that draw might have closed this game.
The only thing is he has to get the South Sea deckhand into play first, and if he does that, it makes Explosive Trap really good.
Are you okay with that, though? I mean, you're blowing up his whole board.
Yeah, I think you're okay with it.
Actually wants to check first. So gets the news that it is Freezing Trap.
Yeah, it's a great turn for Powder.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for much more. And when Muzzy looks back, this is gonna.
Look away, Muzzy. Look away, Muzzy. You don't want to see this. Nobody wants to see this, Muzzy. Don't look. He's like, what happened to my board?
Well, it's all dead.
It's all dead.
Yeah, and Powder.
South Sea Deckhand makes a little comeback here too.
Second appearance.
He's thinking about stuff. You know, maybe I need to play
Encore.
another trap. Oh, Encore. Yeah. R-core? R-core, no?
Yar.
Yeah, there you go.
Hardcore. Arncore? It sounds weird.
I think the moment's passed.
Yeah. And Muzzy with a handful and not much. The Glaivezuka certainly helps him keep this board stabilized, but he's at 10, Powder's at 19, and his last card is another weapon.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to need Powder to brick really, really hard here, and it's almost impossible since Powder has a sprint.
Yeah, it's usually pretty tough to brick 5 card draws in a row.
Yeah, I mean, he's been through both of his Azure Drakes, but you have to believe there's Pilot Shutter or Anti-Keelbot.
Oh, it feels bad, man.
Yeah, I would say you still sprint this turn, though. If Earthen Ring Farseer is in his deck and he gets it here, last card.
Yep.
That one's going to be pretty much game.
Writing is on the wall. Muzzy is both of his Savannah Highmanes are dead. Has no beast to add to the board. Iron Peak Owl is a completely dead draw. Hunter needs to get ahead on board and then utilize the extra utility to make those final pushes.
And he just has to use the Eaglehorn Bow to clear the Earthen Ring Farseer because it's such a big threat because of cards like Tinker Sharpsword Oil. But this Anti-Keelbot.
Well, it's just really that Powder's got enough damage to just outright kill him. Yeah, Tinker Sharpsword Oil, Deadly Poison, Blade Flurry to go with it.
Yeah.
Why not? This is a pretty decisive game number 1 from Powder, and a lot of this relied on the fact that he had that good mix of minions and spells that Rogue is looking for. When they find themselves in these positions, they can fully take advantage of the game. Now, step number 1 is they have to draw the right cards. Powder did draw both preparations in this game, and they were paramount to victory.
Yeah, both those Phantom Knives as well, back-breaking in this game. They were so good from Powder, getting able to set up that turn, using Azure Drake to fuel out a 2 damage Phantom Knives to clear all of Muzzy's board. Muzzy got to play 2 Savannah Highmanes, never had them sapped, and they never attacked.